What if I told you that about 70% of candidates fail their technical interviews? And guess what? Python questions are the biggest challenge. So if you're someone who's going to attend a Python interview soon, but don't know what sort of questions you might face, then you've landed at the right place. Python is undoubtedly one of the most popular programming languages today. It's a top choice for both seasoned developers and beginners. Python's flexibility and wide range of uses makes it an invaluable tool in the software development field. Experts predict that it will continue to be a dominant player in the industry for years to come. To help you prepare, we've compiled some questions based on real-life interviews that candidates have faced. But before we begin with our video, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any updates that will be coming from us. So let's start with our Python interview questions. We'll start off with the beginner level interview questions. So, question number 1. What is the difference between a module and a package? In this particular answer, there are 3 pointers that are necessary. A module is a single file or multiple files containing Python code. This code can define functions, classes, and variables. Typically, a module is a Python file ending with a .py extension. Modules help organize and reuse code by grouping related code together. For example, you can have a module that contains all the mathematical functions you need for a project, making your code cleaner and more manageable. Now, as for packages, a package on the other hand is a collection of modules organized in a directory hierarchy. Packages allow for a structured organization of related modules, making it easier to manage large code bases. A package is essentially a directory hierarchy that contains a special file named init.py. This file can be empty or can execute initialization code for the package. Packages provide a way to group related modules together, which helps avoid module name collisions and organize code in a scalable manner. So, to sum it up, modules are single files with Python code perfect for grouping related functions, classes, and variables. Packages are directories of modules organized in a way that scales well for larger projects. Both are essential for writing clean, organized, and reusable Python code. Moving on to question number 2. Is Python a compiled language or an interpreted language? Python is primarily an interpreted language. This means that Python code is executed line by line by an interpreter at runtime, rather than being compiled into machine code beforehand like in compiled languages such as C or C++. However, Python is also partially compiled. When you run a Python program, the source code is first compiled into bytecode. And what is bytecode? Bytecode is an intermediate low-level representation of your code that is more abstract than machine code but still not human-readable. Once the source code is compiled into bytecode, this bytecode is executed by the Python interpreter. The interpreter reads and executes the bytecode line by line, converting it into machine code that your computer's processor can understand and execute. Next up, question number 3. What are the benefits of using Python language as a tool in the present scenario? Now, this question is not asked regularly, but if you're targeting top-tier companies, then you should probably take a look at this question that fan companies might ask you during the interview process. So, first up, simplicity. Python's easy to read and write syntax makes it accessible for beginners and allows experienced developers to write efficient error-free code quickly. Then we have versatility. Python is used in various fields like web development, data analysis, AI, machine learning, and automation, making it a highly versatile tool. Then we'll talk about the libraries and frameworks. Python has a rich ecosystem of libraries and frameworks such as Django, Pandas, and TensorFlow, which accelerate development and implementation. Next, we'll talk about the strong community support. A large active community provides extensive documentation, tutorials, and forums, ensuring continuous learning and support. Then we'll talk about portability. Python is a platform independent, running seamlessly on Windows, macOS, and Linux, which simplifies development and deployment across different environments. Next, we'll talk about the development speed. Its simplicity and powerful libraries enable rapid prototyping and quick iteration, reducing time to market and enhancing adaptability. Then we'll talk about dynamic typing. Python's dynamic typing makes coding flexible and faster, although it requires careful management to avoid type-related errors. Then lastly, we'll talk about open source. Python's open source nature means it's free to use, modify, and distribute with ongoing improvements driven by a collaborative community. Moving on to question number 4. What are global, protected, and private attributes in Python? Now, this is one of the most important questions asked by the interviewers. So, global variables are public variables defined in the global scope. To use a global variable inside a function, the global keyword is required. Protected attributes are marked with a single underscore. While they can still be accessed and modified from outside the class, responsible developers should avoid doing so. Private attributes are marked with a double underscore. These cannot be accessed or modified directly from outside the class, and any such attempt will result in an attribute error. Is Python case-sensitive? Yes, Python is a case-sensitive language. This means that the language distinguishes between uppercase and lowercase characters in identifiers, as you can see the example on the screen. For example, the variables named var with a capital V, and var would be considered 3 distinct variables in Python. What is Pandas? This is a very basic question. The interviewers may not ask this, but you should know about this library. So, Pandas is an open source Python library which supports data structures for data-based operations associated with data analyzing and data manipulations. Pandas, with its rich sets of features, fits in every role of data operation, whether it be related to implementing different algorithms or solving complex business problems. Pandas helps to deal with a number of files in performing certain operations on the data stored by files. Next up, question number 7. How is exceptional handling done in Python? Well, in Python, the main keywords for handling exceptions are try, except, and finally. The try block contains the code that is monitored for errors. If an error occurs, the except block is executed to handle the exception. The finally block has the unique feature of executing code after the try block, regardless of whether an error occurred or not. It is typically used for cleanup activities of objects or variables, ensuring that necessary cleanup is performed in all circumstances. Moving to question number 8. What is the difference between for loop and while loop in Python? While this might seem like a niche topic, it's a favorite among interviewers, so having a solid grasp on it can give you a competitive edge. The for loop is commonly used to iterate through elements of various collections such as lists, tuples, sets, and dictionaries. Developers use the for loop when they have both straight and ending conditions. On the other hand, the while loop is standard looping construct used in many programming languages. Programmers use a while loop in Python when they have only the ending condition to specify. Moving on to question number 9. Is indentation required in Python? Yes, indentation is required in Python. Because the Python interpreter uses indentation to determine which statements belong to a specific block of code. While indentation improves code readability in all programming languages, it is especially crucial in Python as it defines the structure and flow of the code. Then moving on to question number 10. What is the use of self in Python? Self is used to represent an instance of the class. With this keyword, you can access the attributes and methods of the class in Python, binding the attributes with the provided arguments. Although commonly used in various places, self is often mistaken for a keyword. Unlike in C++, self is not a keyword in Python. Next up, we're going to talk about Python interview questions for intermediate. Question number 11. How does Python manage memory? Explain the role of reference counting and garbage collection. Expect this question to be a major part of your interview. It's fundamental to many roles and gives interviewers insight into your analytical skills and logical thinking. Python uses reference counting to track object references and automatically deallocated objects with 0 references. It also has a garbage collector to handle cyclic references. Moving on to question number 12. Does Python support multiple inheritance? Well, unlike Java, Python supports multiple inheritance. This means that a class can be derived from more than one parent class. Question number 13. How is memory management done in Python? This is one of those questions that separates the good candidates from the great ones, especially when interviewing with top-tier tech companies. Python manages memory using a private heap space where all objects and data structures are stored. Programmers cannot directly access this private heap. It is managed by the Python interpreter. Additionally, Python has a built-in garbage collector that automatically recycles unused memory, freeing it up and making it available for future use. Then moving on to question number 14. How to delete a file using Python? We can delete a file using Python by the following approaches. The first is your os.remove and the second is os.unlink. Now, next up, question number 15. Which sorting technique is used by sort and sorted functions of Python? So, Python uses the timsort algorithm for sorting, which means stable sorting method with a worst case complexity of O(n) log n. Timsort is a hybrid algorithm derived from merge sort and insertion sort, designed to perform efficiently on various types of real-world data. Question number 16. Differentiate between list and tuple. This is a go-to question for interviewers to assess your depth of understanding and knowledge. Lists are defined using square brackets, while tuples use parentheses. Lists are mutable, so we can modify them, we can change their elements, add or remove elements. In contrast, tuples are immutable, so we cannot change their elements once they are created. So, to sum it up, lists are mutable, consume more memory, and have slower insertion, deletion, and iteration speed due to dynamic allocation, whereas tuples are immutable, more memory efficient, and offer faster iteration but do not support insertion and deletion. Question number 17. What is slicing in Python? Python slicing is an operation used to extract a portion of a string or a list. By specifying the start, end, and step, you can determine the exact segment to extract. Slicing a list results in a new list created from the specified portion of the original list. The syntax for slicing in Python is sequence start, stop, and step, where start index is where the slice begins. The element at this index is included in the slice. If omitted, it defaults to the beginning of the sequence. Then we have stop. Stop is the index where the slice ends. The element at this index is not included in the slice. If omitted, it defaults to end of the sequence. Then we have step. This is the interval between elements in the slice. If omitted, it defaults to 1, meaning every element between start and stop is included. This slicing syntax allows you to extract a subsequence from a given sequence, such as list, tuple, or string. Question number 18. How is multithreading achieved in Python? Multithreading in Python is achieved using the threading module, which enables the concurrent execution of multiple threads within a single process. Each thread can run its own code and perform tasks simultaneously. However, due to Python's global interpreter lock, only one thread can execute Python bytecode at a time per process, which limits the performance benefits for CPU-bound tasks. Despite this, multithreading is effective for input-output bound tasks, such as file operations or network communication, where the global interpreter lock's impact is minimal. Next up, question number 19. Which is faster, Python list or Numpy Arrays? You won't encounter this question in every interview, but it's a common challenge in technical interviews, so make sure you're prepared in general. Numpy Arrays are faster than Python list for numerical computations and operations involving large datasets. This is because Numpy Arrays are implemented in C and optimized for performance, while Python lists are more flexible but slower due to their dynamic nature and lack of optimization for numerical computations. On the other hand, it's essential to note that there are scenarios where Python lists may be more suitable, such as when dealing with heterogeneous data types or when flexibility is more critical than performance. Ultimately, the choice between Python lists and Numpy Arrays depends on the specific requirements of the task at hand. Moving on to question number 20. Explain inheritance in Python. While not every interview will include this question, it's often used to test your ability. Inheritance in Python allows a class called the child class or subclass to inherit attributes and methods from another class called the parent class or superclass without the need to rewrite them. Through inheritance, the child class can reuse the code of the parent class, extend its functionality, or override its methods with specialized implementation. This promotes code reusability, modularity, and creation of hierarchies of related classes, making it easier to manage and maintain complex software systems. Then, question number 21. How are classes created in Python? In Python, classes are created using the class keyword followed by the class name and a colon. Inside the class, methods and attributes are defined. Here's a basic example. This code defines a class, my class, with a shared class attribute, an instance attribute set during object creation, and a method that returns a message containing the instance attribute. It then demonstrates creating an instance and accessing these attributes and method. Question number 22. Write a program to produce Fibonacci series in Python. This is a classic question that's frequently asked in interviews. It's fundamental yet powerful as it tests your understanding of loops and recursion. Mastering the Fibonacci series not only helps you in interviews but also strengthens your problem-solving skills, which are crucial for any programming role. The Fibonacci series or Fibonacci sequence is a sequence of numbers where each number is the sum of two preceding ones. It usually starts with 0 and 1. This program defines a function Fibonacci that generates the first n terms of the Fibonacci series. It starts with a list containing the first two Fibonacci numbers, 0 and 1, and then continues to append the sum of the last two numbers in the list until it reaches the desired length. Finally, it prints the Fibonacci series with the specified number of terms. Moving to question number 23. What is the difference between shallow copy and deep copy in Python? Let's take a look at the key differences. According to shared references, in a shallow copy, references to objects are shared between the original and the copy. In a deep copy, all objects are fully copied, so no references are shared. According to performance, shallow copying is faster and uses less memory because it doesn't copy objects themselves, only the references. Deep copying is slower and uses more memory because it duplicates everything. Moving to question number 24. What is the process of compilation and linking in Python? The process of compilation in Python involves converting the source code written by the programmer into a form that can be executed by the Python interpreter. In Python, the process of linking is not explicit and complex in compiled languages like C or C++. However, it involves several steps related to the import and usage of modules and packages. Next, question number 25. What is break, continue, and pass in Python? This is also a common question you should prepare. For break, the break statement immediately ends the loop and transfers control to the first statement following the loop's body. Continue. The continue statement ends the current iteration of the loop, skips the remaining code in this iteration, and proceeds with the next iteration of the loop. Then, pass. The pass keyword in Python is used to fill empty blocks of code. It acts as a placeholder, similar to an empty statement in languages like Java, C++, and JavaScript. Question number 26. What is PEP8? PEP8 is the Python enhancement proposal that provides guidelines and best practices on how to write Python code. It is essentially the style guide for Python code, helping developers write code that is readable and consistent. by following PEP8, developers ensure their code is readable, maintainable, and consistent with the broader Python community, which facilitates collaboration and reduces misunderstandings. Question number 27. What is an expression? An expression in Python and in programming in general is a combination of values, variables, operators, and calls to function that the language interpreter evaluates to produce another value. Expressions are fundamental building blocks in Python as they represent computations. Moving to question number 28. What is double equals in Python? In Python, double equals is the equality operator. It is used to compare two values to determine if they are equal. If the values on the either side of the double operator are equal, the expression evaluates to true. Otherwise, it evaluates to false. Moving to question number 29. What is type conversion in Python? Type conversion in Python refers to the process of converting a value from one data type to another. This can be necessary when you need to perform operations on data that require it to be in a specific format or type. Some common type conversion functions are mentioned as below. Int converts a value to an integer, float converts a value to a float, str converts a value to a string, list converts a value to a list, tuple converts a value to a tuple, set converts a value to a set, dict converts a sequence of key values into a dictionary. Moving to our last question of this segment, question number 30. Name some commonly used built-in modules in Python. Some of the commonly used built-in modules are OS, SYS, math, random, datatime, and JSON. Now let's move ahead with our advanced Python interview questions. Our first question, question number 31. What is the difference between xrange and range in functions? This is also one of the most common questions asked in Python. Range and xrange functions are used to iterate a specific number of times in for loops. The range function returns a list of numbers. The xrange function returns the generator object that can display only numbers by looping. It displays only a particular range on demand, and thus it is known as lazy evaluation. The xrange function is not found in Python 3. The range function works like xrange in Python 2. Question number 32. What is the zip function? Zip function returns a zip object that maps multiple containers' identical indexes. It accepts an iterable, transforms it into an iterator, and aggregates the elements depending on iterables passed. Furthermore, it returns an iterator of tuples. Moving to question number 33. What is Django architecture? One of the important Python Viva questions. Django is a high-level web framework built in Python that allows rapid development of maintainable and secure websites. Its architecture consists of model, where the data is managed and stored in the backend. Then template, where the data is stored in the front end of the web page. Then view, where functions accepts the web requests and delivers the web responses. Next, question number 34. What is inheritance in Python? You will frequently encounter this question in interviews. Inheritance allows a class to get all members of another class. The members can be methods, attributes, or both. With reusability, inheritance streamlines an application's development and maintenance. There are 4 types of inheritance in Python. There are single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, and multiple inheritance. Moving to question number 35. Define star args and star kwargs in Python. In Python, star args allows a function to accept n number of positional arguments, also known as non-keyword arguments, and variable length argument lists, whereas star kwargs serves as a special syntax that allows us to pass a variable length of keyword arguments to the function. Question number 36. Do runtime errors exist in Python? Explain with an example. Yes, runtime errors are found in Python. For example, when you are duck typing and things appear like a duck, it is regarded as a duck, although it is merely a stamp or flag. In this case, the code has a runtime error. Another example is the print hacker IO. That shows the runtime error due to the missing parentheses in print. Moving on to question number 37. What are docstrings in Python? One of the most important questions. Docstrings or documentation strings are multi-line strings used to document a specific code segment. Docstrings usually come within triple quotes and should ideally describe what a function or method does. Although they are not comments, docstrings sometimes serve the purpose of comments since they are not assigned to any variable. Now moving to question number 38. How can you capitalize the first letter of a string in Python? In Python, you can use the capitalize method to capitalize the first letter of a string. However, if a string already consists of a capital letter at the beginning, it will return to the original string. Moving on to question number 39. What are generators in Python? Generators are most important Python functions that return an iterable collection of items one at a time in an organized manner. Generally, generators are used to create iterators with a different approach. They use of yield keyword rather than return to return a generator object. Moving to question number 40. How to write comments in Python? It's very likely that you'll face this question in your interview. So in Python, comments start with a hash character. However, sometimes you can also write comments using docstrings, strings enclosed within triple quotes. Unlike C++, Python does not support multi-line comments. Here's how a comment is written in Python. Line 1 of comment, line 2 of comment. Moving to question number 41. What is GIL? GIL, or the Global Interpreter Lock, is a mutex used to limit access to Python objects. It synchronizes threads and prevents them from running at the same time. Moving to question number 42. Is Django better than Flask? Well, Django is better suited for large, complex applications with many built-in features, while Flask is better for small to medium projects requiring more flexibility and control. The choice depends on your specific needs and project requirements. Question number 43. What is Flask? Explain its benefits. Flask is a lightweight and flexible web framework for Python that provides the essential tools to build web applications, making it easy to get started and scale as needed. Then we have simplicity and minimalism. Flask is easy to learn and use, making it ideal for beginners and quick development of small to medium-sized applications. Then, flexibility. It provides complete control over application components and structure, allowing high customization to meet specific needs. Then, modular and extensible. Flask's modular design lets you add only the components you need, with many third-party extensions available for added functionality. Then, wide adoption and community support. A large, active community offers extensive tutorials, extensions, and support, making it easier to find solutions and best practices. Next, question number 44. What is PIP? You won't find this question in every interview, but it's a regular feature in technical interviews to test your understanding. PIP is an acronym for Python Installer Package, which provides a seamless interface to install various Python modules. It is a command line tool that can search for packages over the internet and install them without any user interaction. Moving to question number 45. How can you ensure that your Python code is compatible with Python2 and Python3? To write code that is compatible with both Python2 and 3, you can use the future module to import Python 3.x behavior into Python 2.x code. Use a compatibility library like 6 or future to bridge differences. Follow best practices for writing compatible code, such as using print as a function, using absolute import to handle imports, using Unicode literals for string handling, and being cautious with integer division. Run 2 to 3 to automatically convert Python 2 code to Python 3. Next, question number 46. What is the difference between modulus operator, division operator, and floor division operator? The modulus operator is the modulo operator, which returns the remainder of a division. For instance, 5 modulus 2 would return 1. The division operator performs floating point division and returns a float. For example, 5 division 2 would return 2.5. The floor division operator performs division but rounds down the result to the nearest whole number. So 5 floor division 2 would return 2. Moving to question number 47. Why doesn't Python deallocate all memory upon exit? Whenever Python exits, especially those Python modules which are having circular references to other objects or objects that are referenced from the global namespaces, the memory is not always deallocated or freed. It is not possible to deallocate those portions of memory that are reserved by the C library. On exit, because of having its own efficient cleanup mechanism, Python will try to deallocate every object. Moving to question number 48. Why is a set known as unordered? Is it mutable or immutable? Make sure you have a solid understanding of this concept. A set is called unordered because the items in a set don't have specific order or sequence like a list does. It's more like a collection of items and you can't access them by their position. Sets in Python are mutable, which means you can add or remove items from a set after it's created. However, the items within the set are themselves immutable, meaning they cannot be changed. You can add or remove elements from a set, but you can't modify the elements themselves once they are in the set. Moving to question number 49. What is the difference between data frames and series? A series is a one-dimensional array like object in Pandas that can hold any data type, while a data frame is a two-dimensional table-like structure with potentially heterogeneously typed columns. You can think of a data frame as a collection of series, objects that share the same index. Moving to our last question, question number 50. What does len do? The len function is used to determine the length of various data types such as strings, lists, arrays, etc. With that, we conclude our Python interview preparation for today. If you're preparing for Python interviews, you are probably someone who wants to be the master of tech world. Join our job-linked Data Science and AI Advanced Bootcamp at Upgrad and gain the skills employers are looking for. With a practical industry-aligned curriculum and hands-on project, you'll not only learn from seasoned experts, but also apply your knowledge to real-world scenarios. Don't miss out. Click the link in the description to start your data science journey today. Thank you for joining us and good luck with your Python interview. Make sure to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more such engaging videos.